Welcome to the People's Guild.
Each week we explore the Splinterland universe with guests from all across the mythical land of Praetoria.
Join us on our journey as we discuss the evolution of the game, the strategy, the lore, and the exciting path that lies ahead.
To support the People's Guild, make sure you subscribe, rate, and review wherever you get your podcasts, and also check us out on PeakD, YouTube, and Twitter.
Send your questions, suggestions, and epic battles in our comments through Twitter or email at thepeoplesguildspl@gmail.com. We'll feature the best in our episodes and maybe airdrop you some prizes.
Thanks for tuning in and enjoy the show.
Welcome back to the People's Guild. Another week, another episode, another wonderful guest. This is one we've been trying to make happen for quite some time. I'm super excited to get this guy on air with us. I was a big fan of his segment on Splinterlands TV. He more so than most hosts on Splinterlands is really able to articulate his teams, his thought process, his strategy. I've put a few feathers in my cap over the months since I've been kind of routinely in champ, as I've been able to take this guy down in whether it's ranked or brawls, and I wear this one really proudly because I really admire this dude as a player and the way that he strategizes in the game. So yeah, really happy to present this one to you guys. Quick acknowledgement to Crypto Eater, Qualis, Push and Shove. Go check it out. Some cool stuff. I did just see an announcement that there's going to be some UI updates over on Aqualis before too long, which is cool. I know that was one of the big complaints, was folks just were a little bit unclear about navigating the marketplace and how to purchase multiple BCX and that sort of stuff. So hopefully that all gets addressed, but go check it out. So without further ado, we got Truls. Welcome to the show, Truls, you legend of champion leaderboards, dude. Good to meet you, man.
Thank you so much. So I don't know if I can live up to that, but so friendly of you.
Yeah, man. Looks like your name's always up there. When did you get into Splinterlands? I'm curious to find out how long you've been playing the game and then what got you into it.
Oh, I started when everyone else started, the worst possible time. But gradually, yeah. I really like the game now. It's been I really like the things Matt is doing and making sure that, especially like Champion this season was the most fun season I had in a long time.
This season,
great. I see that you have you have a pretty solid sort of like full deck in Wild and Alpha and Beta, and so have you kind of been in fighting for champion since you got started? Did you kind of get all those cards at once? Sort of did you get in kind of when Untamed was out or when Chaos Legion was out?
I got up in exactly when I think it was a few packs of Diamond left and no Untamed or anything. So no, very gradually grinding it out. So it's mostly been the last year that I've been doing better. I think I had a while I was doing really well when I got top 3 first place and stuff like that, and 5, 6, 7 seasons in a row. So, but it's been really fun to fight it out this season because it's been a little luck based before when it's +3 -32 when you go over 4,300.
Yeah, you're really rolling the dice when you, especially in those waning hours of the season. It's, should I play? Shouldn't I play? Should I park it? I think that was pretty much general sentiment across the board. But it's interesting you say that this season more than most, or at least more than one in recent memory has been the most fun you've had. I know there's been some liquidity issues at Europe with the really thin air at high altitudes in champ, and Hep and I were just kind of catching up in Discord about some of the massive stuff that's already coming down the pipeline from Matt and Co. that was announced on Town Hall, I guess about 24 hours ago. And now Champion's going to be open up to everybody. So if you're in Champ, it's fair game, which I think is absolutely the right call and should address at least the bulk of the match liquidity stuff that you folks up at the tippy top we're dealing with for a little bit.
I mean, it's been a little silly sometimes. Like there was one day, Mondroid and we were having like 10 battles in one day, and we had like 5 battles in a row where it was only us. And it's not the easiest competition to play against, of course. And today I was playing against Jacek, I think 10 times or something. So it can be, then you need to really have a good day to kind of even get a little over 50%. But it's kind of fun to play against the best as well. And some seasons, like I would get day 2, I would get 4,300, and then there was kind of no point in playing the rest of the season.
So would you have those issues where you would kind of I'm just going to sit on this rating and see if it's kind of good enough to stay in the top, 10 or so of the leaderboard and just not play? Or would you just go play in wild then or something? How would you handle that?
I would normally play until I got 4,300 and switch to wild, and then I got 4,300 in wild, and then I would just cycle back and forth a little and fall out of 4,300 and go back in and try to get a win streak long enough to get like to the top. But sometimes I managed, but it's really tough.
Yeah.
I also had the thing where I would to get proper competition, I would just if I haven't found anyone within 8 seconds, I would just cancel and then do it over again.
I saw you call that out. I think you posted it in Mav chat. I don't know, within the last. I've been keeping a keener eye on Mav chat the last couple of weeks with all the ranks rework stuff, and I saw you post that. Man, what a brilliant! I never ever considered doing that, and you were clearly onto something with, in those first few seconds of matchmaking. The game is trying to place you with somebody who's closest to your rating, and the further you get to the that timing out process, the wider the net that is being cast to rope in a competitive for you. Yeah, brilliant move, man.
It's just it's needed because it's very difficult to have like a 95% win rate that you would need, or 90+% win rate, even if you play against like anyone. Then it's better to play against the Jacek and try to at least get 20 points instead of 3 points against the random opponent and lose 36.
Correct.
So
yeah,
but it wasn't easy to climb at all, of course.
So has that kind of strategy changed now that it's opened up to because the rating system has changed, and now that it's going to be opened up to more people, are you thinking that it's better to have the timer on longer because there's only so many people above you, right? And a lot more people below you. So, and if a win or loss is going to get you the same points, then is it better to just kind of let the timer go longer now?
Oh yeah, now you're happy to wait.
Yeah. I didn't realize it was the kind of the rating band was 1,000 points. I mean, to me, that seems like a lot. I'm always, when I'm kind of, so sometimes when I'm going up against people who are like 400 or 500 more than me, I'm like, I can't believe it's that high. But I guess, up in I never thought about for the people who are up in champion, there's really only, 10, 15 people within 1,000 points or so of you guys, right? Yeah, it's like the spread from who's at 1 right now is 5,900, and then looks like so 16, and there's a couple ties in there, so probably about less than 20 players within 1,000 of each other at the top.
Yeah, it's brutal.
Yeah, especially if, a lot of these people are on different time zones, right? So you never know who you're going to be matched up with.
How did you fare in your epic showdown with Mondroid? 10 matches in a day. I hope you were keeping score, man.
I think I went 6-4 or something. So I had the positive. I think he was getting annoyed with me a little bit at one point. But yeah, Jacek is the one that is always the problem for me. And Yuki, those two are so good at the game. So
it's really interesting how it's like, I think if you ask most folks, Mondroid is by far and away, one of the best players in the game. Obviously Jacek and Yuki are right there. There's a handful of other guys that I would put on that list of, top 5, top 10. But it's interesting that you say that, Yasik in particular, Yuki in particular are the troublesome ones for you. What do you chalk that up to, man? Is it like you and Mondroid? Do you guys think and approach rule sets, that differently? So therefore, you have a little bit of an edge where Yasik, you just don't know what you're gonna get, and he's, my impression of Yasik, he's a little bit more creative with his lineups, which is really impressive, and it's fun to watch, and it's tough to do at a successful rate. I definitely try and employ that in my own. I was complaining to Rogue the other day. We had, the very common Lily Grimbardoon matchup. I just skip it. I don't want to watch 25 rounds of whatever, and see who wins in fatigue. But there's also those guys who are willing to, try something new and, discover a new piece in the meta. So what is it that, if anything, that you can attribute to for guys like Yasik and Yuki that in particular give you trouble?
Oh, I think Mondroid, he plays just very correct. Like we have very similar play style as well. Sometimes we would choose the same deck even, or just two creatures just switched around and stuff like that. Yuki is very good at countering what the opponent will do. He will sit there and think, okay, what will my opponent do? And then he does something that counter that. Jacek he's very creative, as you said. He's good at he's like got a maxed out gladiators now, so he loves using his gladiators, and it's hard to fight against that sometimes. And yeah, but I can almost know who I'm playing against before I even look at the name sometimes.
Just by looking at the lineups and guessing what the rule sets were?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, the next level thinking that goes on with you guys at the top is so interesting to me. Because at this the game can be enjoyed at the very surface level. It's fun. And me, I would love to think that I'm a high 50-ish% win rate player. My record the last couple of seasons would argue otherwise. I'm closer to a 50% win rate player, but yeah, man, it's and Hep and I have talked at length about this. The higher you go up, the more the abilities there. And this is why I despise back to basics so much. It just strips all of the fun abilities out of the game. And there is some strategy, of course. I'm not going to argue that, but yeah, man, I really love to hear the really in-depth approach and thought process that goes through when you see a rule set, when you see the opponent's history. And something that I would love to see from the team, maybe that's in the next iteration of the team selection page, is I want to see that battle history consistently as I'm building my team. I don't know how many times I'll hit refresh, go back and see, try and, do exactly what you're doing and reverse engineer what was the rule set that this team was applied for. What can I expect in this one? So
yeah, it was interesting when you knew who you would play against. Like Yuki and I were playtesting, I think it was before one of the sets came out. And then it was Rift Watchers. And then I know I'm playing against him. And playing against the same player over and over again, and you're playing against the same player, then you really kind of see how they're thinking. So I almost miss that you could see who you were playing against, but it could of course be misused so much as well. So
yeah, because if you've been playing the same person a couple times and you just remember the teams they said, and then you're like, oh, okay, well, yeah, I recognize that. It looks like I'm playing them again.
Yeah, and Yuki is really good at getting inside of your head. So
like, am I going to throw the standard counter, or am I going to go the traditional approach to what this rule set says I should do? Is my opponent expecting the counter to the counter? Yeah, the mind games are fun, man.
He had this way where I would do something random, and he even expected my random, and I was like, how?
Do you have any sort of personal relationship with Yuki? Have you guys ever communicated on Discord, and do you participate in some some fun smack talk post match?
We were in the same guild for a long time, so then we had much more contact, and we did some play testing as well. So we came before Rift Watchers. We had nailed the meta before it even was launched, so that was kind of fun.
Oh, it's just from doing a bunch of matches on the test server before it was released.
Yeah, we did probably 100 matches or something at least.
That doesn't seem like that many to really get it down. That's pretty impressive still.
He's really good at knowing which cards will be good in advance as well. He sent me a tier list of which cards he thought were the best ones, and he nailed it so perfectly.
Yeah.
For Rebellion, you mean?
No, for Rift Watchers.
Okay. Do you remember like what are the kind of the top like couple cards he thought were going to be the best?
I don't remember, but I just remember that I checked the prices like a month afterwards, and he had nailed it like almost 100%.
I'd be curious to pick his brain, and this is something that I really wanted to get into with you, prior to the Rebellion release when we were first talking about bringing you on. Obviously we were seeing and about to experience the shift of Untamed, which still is by far I think the most OP set by a long shot in Splinterlands, and issuing in Rebellion. So how have you kind of approach Rebellion? I'm assuming that you've got a max deck. You're anytime I face you, it's with max cards. And B, how have the cards kind of played out in your mind in terms of establishing fun new metas and unlocking kind of new strategies, and obviously we had a flurry of new abilities come in, and another one coming with the next conflict card.
I think the Rebellion set is really strong. Like, I don't buy it when people say that it's not a strong set. Grim Smith, of course, just redefined the whole meta. And even in Wild, I think I don't play Wild anymore, except in tournaments. So I don't know that much. But and the two-color summoners, I think, are underused as well. They are extremely strong, but fun. They really great game mechanics. I'm glad that they made them 3 mana and made them so powerful. So, but I see that I play a lot of some gold tournaments, and I'm not supposed to be good in gold card tournaments, because I literally don't have any beta cards in gold. I don't have any. I have some common cards in Untamed, so I mostly play common and rare cards from Rebellion and some more. But I normally do quite well in them without any Untamed or beta, and beat some of the top players that have like full sets just with like a lot of new cards. So that's kind of fun.
That's just salt in the wound, Truls. I'm sure you love doing that.
It's funny when you see like a kitty on the other side, gold max level kitty with like full of beta cards, and then you beat it with some random Rebellion.
Awesome. Yeah, what I noticed, I was looking at through some of your matches, and I see that you do tend to play those 3 mana dual element summoners a lot. It's one of those things where Rebellion, I just haven't gotten around to kind of getting those leveled up. I feel like it just takes so many of those cards. It's a little pricey for me to kind of get them where I'm able to really use them. But yeah, I want to hear like your thoughts on why you think they're so good, and sort of when you're looking to use them. Is it just low mana rule sets, or is it other instances where you're really thinking about how the different combinations of these elements are going to work well together?
It's a lot of combos. So there's just thinking how different colors can. You have certain cards that can be super powerful combined with a card from another color. Like sometimes in black and red, and black and green and red, all of them actually. Like I play with all of these a lot. So it's just that sometimes you can find some really, really strong combos that, and in Wild, I'm sure there is, I haven't even delved into that yet.
Yeah. Can you give us some examples on like, well, give me one example of a good combination you think that works really well that's maybe overlooked?
I think the 2-mana no attack cards are extremely strong. So if you can combine like 2 of them instead of just 1, that can be really powerful, and it's a lot with weapon training and no attack to combine that in a good way.
Do you have kind of one of the multi-element summoners that sticks out above the rest in your mind in terms of the synergies that are unlocked between the two elements?
No. No, I think I play all of them. I play green and red probably the most.
I
But
was
also...
just gonna say that's the one that I probably play the least.
Oh.
Yeah.
And
But
blue and white.
to your earlier point, the lurking puffer I think is one of the best 2-mana in the game, and then I would argue that the I forget the fire 2-mana guy, but the blast and the inspire and the backfire and the crazy speed, yeah, that combination is just filthy. And Moxie and Rebel, you know, the market continues to show how valuable that card is. Even 1 BCX, I've got 1 BCX on my alt, and just having that ability to have a 4-mana weapons trading is an absolute game changer.
The white one, 2-mana, is also extremely strong with the triage and true strike.
And the true strike, yeah. So, you know, when I was first starting to dive into the Rebellion stuff, you know, I was routinely going after the cards that everybody else was kind of sleeping on. And one of the first ones that I maxed out was I'm gonna blank on the name, but it's the 4-mana True Strike, neutral dispel, Chaos Lackey. And I managed to, I think I put this one out on Twitter. I was pretty proud of myself. I managed, it was an enraged rule set. Played that guy, and he won the game for me. It was against Zaku, who I know there's, I stumbled upon the Xbot Discord within the last 2 or so weeks. I'm sure you know what I'm alluding to. It was addressed, you know, kind of wider broadcast through the town hall yesterday without specifics or specific names at least being dropped. But yeah, I managed to beat Zaku with the Chaos Lackey, and yeah, like I said earlier, that was a big feather in my cap. That one definitely made the Twitter feed. And everybody seems to be sleeping on the Chaos Lackey, and I feel like the team continues to do such a good job of making a great niche for every single card. I you know, I look at Rebellion and I don't feel like there's any card that I haven't used. You know, of course, there's some that I use far less often than others. But are there any cards, you know, just kind of looking at the marketplace, will tell you, you know, where the popular demand is. But are there any cards that you feel like folks continue to kind of sleep on that you feel like are you know, much more potent that is being credited to?
I think all of the cards that people don't play. I think almost, as you say, every card has its uses. So, like, I remember when I was streaming, the question I got all the time was, what card is the most powerful? And it's an impossible question to answer because every card has its own little niche. And that's really cool about Splinterlands as well, that there are, of course, some cards that I use more than others, but I think to be really good at the game, I think you find the uses for all of these niche cards, because the niche cards can be extremely powerful. Like, just as an example, if you have like a super slow card that you can use in reverse speed, and in only archery you have headwinds cards, and Rebellion has a lot of these niche cards that are extremely powerful in the right setting.
Yeah, the first thing that jumps to my mind when you say that ancient redwood is one that I almost never come across. And almost I'm tempted to pay for Splinter Coach. So shout out to guy from Ajax if you're listening. Uh, I'm tempted to pay for it just to see my win record with the ancient redwood. I feel like I sweep the table anytime that guy makes it in my lineup. He's so powerful.
Yeah, I had some weird statistics where, what card was it again? The 2-mana archer. Yeah, the Flame Mephit. I had 100% win rate with, which was
Go figure.
yeah. And a lot of like random cards I had 100% with that I would never expect.
Well, that's interesting. So is that something, are you using like that Splinter Coach? Are you analyzing your battles, and anytime you lose, are you kind of checking out, why I lost and how could I have done that better? Or you just kind of figure there's a lot of it just kind of like up to RNG and you just kind of move on?
No. I always, or very, very often go in Xbot. They have this test. What could I have done differently? What if it's the order of the cards, or if it's a new card that would have been better, or with 2 cards I was debating which of them I would use, and then I check afterwards which one was the right choice. And so I use these analysis tools a lot. So
Maybe that's the great separator is I never do that.
I was trying to do that the other day, and I was like running into an issue where I had used a dragon summoner, and I had used, maybe I used dragon with life or something, and I wanted to see if I could change it to if I was going to just use earth cards instead. And it was only the dragon cards was only showing me like neutrals, and so I had to put in like the earth summoner, add all the earth cards, then add it back, the dragon back, and then add in the dragon cards and do it that way. So it was like it just took me a little playing around with it to figure out why is like the goblin psychic not showing up when I'm trying to search for it to add that card. And I was like, oh, I have to like change it to that. So yeah, I've definitely used that a little bit to try to figure some stuff out. But yeah, the team I was trying to think to counter what I had been up against didn't work either. So I didn't really stick with it that long to keep figuring out what would have worked. I just kind of said, well, that would have been my second option, and that didn't work. So I'm not going to beat myself up over it too much. I'm just going to move on with my day and keep playing.
You were on the entire wrong track, huh?
It's funny because like I'm like, oh, this team probably would have been better, and I went from like a 40% win chance down to like a 23% win chance. I'm like, oh, that team actually would have been worse. So at least what I did was better than what I thought I maybe should have done. So,
Truls, do you know does Battle Vision take into account the tactics yet?
no, I don't think so.
No. Yeah, I
So
feel
yeah,
like that's a big differentiator, right?
yeah, it's impossible to know then. So yeah, and I even see that even their analysis boards, because I pay for the Xbot token just to have the right to the analyzing board, and even that is not working right now. So they need some better tools for that for sure.
So were you on the what was it, Splinter Tools? That was the kind of the original.
Yeah, that one I used a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, is that where the habit was kind of established? Was through Splinter Tools or Splinter Tools? Yeah.
I'm just so curious. I always have to find out like what did I do wrong?
yeah, Splinter Tools is always tough for me because it was like, here's the card you should have played, and it was like always all like alpha beta cards. I was like, well, I don't have any of those. So
oh, I didn't know they had that feature.
right, isn't that what it was? You would put in like the rule set, and it would tell you like what the best ranked cards were.
Oh, I just used it as an analyzer tool where like same as the Xbot one now. Yeah, I think they made it illegal quite quickly. They had like the Splinter Tools had for a little bit some kind of thing that was made illegal. But yeah.
Yeah, that sounds more along the lines of a battle helper versus an analysis tool.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. Well, cool, man. So we had some really big stuff get dropped in town hall yesterday. Have you had a chance to catch up on that? Watch through the news, Truls?
Yeah, I watched the town hall. I had it in the background at least.
Is there something that really stuck out in your mind that you're chomping at the bit to bring into the game?
I thought it was a little funny with Matt when he started to remind me of Ankh-Morpork in Discworld, where he said that he would work with Xbot to remove battle helpers. That was kind of, it reminded me of Ankh-Morpork, where they allow stealing and they have the Thieves Guild that you have a certain limit for how much you can steal.
Yeah, it helps keep the stealing and the murdering within the certain quotas, so that everything runs up more efficiently. Yeah, no, I definitely want to ask you about that, whether, because being up there at the top of the leaderboard, do you think you're going up against people who are using some sort of battle helper sometimes? And, how do you feel about that?
Definitely. Yeah, I have voiced my opinion on that quite a lot sometimes. It's, yeah, especially right when Rebellion came, like almost every tournament had 4 or 5 Guild of Neoxian players on the top every single time, and they didn't use a single Rebellion cards, which seemed extremely, either they're like just extremely intelligent beyond any level, but it's not human to kind of not play the new cards. Like humans are curious. They want to test out, like, how does this new toy work? And that just seemed really, really suspicious to me. And then there was, they got the email, or I think it was email from Xbot that, of course, it's not 100%. Maybe someone copied that email or something, that you could pay $50 to have some kind of a secret battle helper. But then some other people told me that they had found the $50 that people paid as well. So then it seems legit. Matt didn't want to talk about it specifically, but it seems like he has had a talk with the founder at least, and hopefully he can find a solution.
Yeah. Yeah, and I was it was weird to hear, actually, so the Ankh-Morpork reference, Jangles, I don't know, that's a Discworld thing. I've been trying to get Jangles to read Discworld. I don't know if he has read any yet, but I've tried to get him into it. I've read a bunch. I still have a few to go, but yeah, I don't know. Have you started that yet, Jangles? Did you ever pick up Color and Magic?
No. It's on the list though. I still got my list.
All right. Yeah, so yeah, here in the town hall, I thought, yeah, I actually, was surprised to Matt to be like, well, yeah, Siler's not really, breaking the rules, because it's not in the rules to provide it. It's just in the rules that you can't use it. So like, he's not the problem. It's the other people. And it's like, all right. That's kind of, I thought that was strange too, that he just kind of was very dismissive of it.
Yeah, I think it should be very simple. If you provide a service like that, just remove the API access. Without the API access, they don't have a battle helper.
Yeah, why isn't that? I mean, what else do people need that API data for? I mean, I don't know if it's one of those things where I know people use it for a lot of other things, but can they restrict the API access to the battles and not everything else, stuff for like the market and things like that? Or is it kind of one switch they can turn on and off? I guess I don't know as much about the API as maybe others do. I don't know if you have an idea on that.
I think you have to apply for an API. I might be wrong, but
yeah,
that would be logical, because player doesn't need an API. It's of course companies that do. So
yeah,
it should be a privilege that you have and not the right, in a way.
Yeah, I was wondering if, because I feel like an API call would actually be easier to detect and therefore, gather evidence. So I was thinking, if at this point, I think it's Matt addressing the elephant in the room, and there's been conspiracy swirling for I guess the better part of the last month that this was going on, and I've slowly seen some of the messages, some of the evidence, some of the receipts, some of the payments being sent, yada yada. and I have to imagine that if the API was the route that was happening, it feels like it would be much easier to, say for certain with minimal doubts that this particular account is leveraging Battle Helper to achieve this win rate. But something like the Battle Vision, or where you plug in the battle link after the fact, is that wouldn't use the API, right? I mean, that's just populating the spots on the website externally.
I think to make strong battle helpers, you need an API, because you would need a lot of data. And that means that you would need to look at a lot of battles, and you can't really do that manually. So yeah, I mean, Matt probably knows. That's probably why he said that it wasn't in the terms of service that you can't provide battle helpers for players, because he probably have talked with Siler about it, is my guess. Like anything else, of course, just it's logical that he would talk to him about it, and maybe he says, no, I don't use it. But I would guess that they know quite a lot more than they say.
Yeah, I mean, I'm under the impression that I don't think Matt would have said something if there wasn't some sort of resolution coming soon. He made it very clear, I think much to the chagrin of some folks in the community, that he wasn't in the business of trying to go about a retroactive witch hunt, which, I think bigger picture, just solving the battle helper issue is priority number one. Yeah, I mean, I could take it or leave it with with respect to kind of applying retroactive punishment, as long as it stops. And the proof is going to be in the pudding, right? When we see win rates on the leaderboard start to plummet, it's going to be pretty clear who was leveraging a battle helper to achieve those ungodly numbers, because we still see 70-80% win rates up at the top, right?
Not anymore. I think also something happened there in the middle of the season. Like, I think they got a little afraid. But yeah, it's a lower win rate now. Like, I have way lower win rate this season than last season, or all the previous seasons, because you only meet top players at one point. So then if you can get 52% against the top 5 players, then you're actually really, really good. But yeah, it is a problem with these battle helpers, but you recognize them after a while as well. They have certain characteristics that a player would just never do.
So I made the suggestion to Dave McCoy, who's kind of, he had a little bit of a reaction in Mav chat. I guess it was about better part of 2 weeks ago, and pretty much threw down the gauntlet of ultimatum that this needs to be solved, or Dave's gonna fight tooth and nail to it's gonna get ugly, is pretty much the headline of what went down in Mav chat. But yeah, man, I really hope that it comes to a swift end. What is your take on, Hep, correct me if I'm wrong. I think we actually asked Siler specifically if the team were looking to kind of employ his services as part of an anti-bot initiative. Would he accept the position? And I believe he came back with pretty much a resounding yes. Is that how you remember it?
I don't recall. I don't recall if he was saying yes or if he just kind of hedged on it and said, "Well, they've never asked me. If they asked me, I would think about it." I don't know. I don't remember.
Well, yeah, I'm curious to hear both of your guys' thoughts. The first thing, you guys went to Discworld. I went to Frank Abagnale. Catch me if you can. One of the most notorious thieves, and ended up working for the FBI for years and years, and had a successful career catching the bandits. So that's where my head went when I heard, you know, all of this happening and you know the potential resolution, what it looks like. So you guys both referenced Discworld. What's the next step in the thought process for you? Would you guys support something like that? Because I would have to imagine that it would come down to a DAO proposal, right? Because it would be a pretty polarizing decision, I think.
I think, yeah, I think the Thieves Guild reference is good. That you kind of set, because I don't think it's a problem of a person doing their private battle helpers, because I don't think they would be strong enough. I think you need like millions of battles of data before you get a really strong battle helpers. So I heard some people say that one guild has a private battle helper, but yeah, I don't know. But if you can get like Siler on the team and he can use his expertise to maybe create the bot that they were talking about that can give match liquidity and police it, and he earns some money doing that, totally fine by me.
Yeah, I mean, I think it would be good. I try to remember from our conversation with him, or, you know, because we kind of talked about, you know, if no matter what, if someone's just operating it, you know, privately, would it be, you know, almost impossible to detect? And I think if it's, you know, something where it is sort of like a battle helper where you're inputting what the rule sets and things are, and then it's spitting something out, then yeah. But again, like you said, yeah, you've got to be able to get that data first, right? So you have to be able to get access to the battle data. So it's, you know, yeah, like set a thief to catch a thief. Yeah, it's kind of you know, I'm kind of torn about it, right? It's like, do you someone who's, I mean, I guess he's not technically, I guess, according to Matt, and Matt doesn't think he's breaking the rules, so he's not breaking the rules, but it's definitely not acting within the best interests and the will of a majority of the community. And I don't know. I just don't like, why do you, you know, then turn around and reward someone like that? Because does that encourage people to just do the same thing? And like, oh, if I just break the rules enough, they'll give me a job to try to keep other people from doing it. So I'm a little reserved about it as well, because I don't feel like we should reward people for doing that kind of thing. And, you know, I mean, clearly he knows it's wrong, right? You know, he's not advertising it openly. He's trying to keep all this stuff on the hush hush, and, you know, not coming out and openly saying like, oh, I'm doing it because here's, you know, it's allowed, or it's not against the rules. So, you know, he knows what he's doing is wrong. And I don't know why reward that? I mean, I don't know the way you stop him. Like I don't even think he plays the game, you know, or has an account or plays the game, at least that we know of. So it's not like you can ban his account. I think he's just kind of doing this to make money. Yeah,
Well,
I
he
don't know.
told us
I'm pretty sure.
he's got a slew of bots.
Yeah, if he's still
He
operating
deal,
those, I mean, we don't know if he is or not.
Well, I
yeah.
think he said it was a huge bot farm that he has. So,
Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, I would. The first thing I would try to discover is what's the incentive. You know, if he's purely employing, you know, assuming that this is where the battle helper is coming from, if it's you know, coming from export stuff, if he's just looking to make money, you know, then gainful employment would solve that. But if he's trying to actively undermine what we're trying to achieve here, that's, you know, a completely different conversation.
To make money off it, but that doesn't excuse the fact that he is kind of undermining what people in the community are trying to do, right? I mean, I don't think he's doing it for like some chaotic anarchistic
The
reason.
Joker. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, he wants to make money. It's understandable. You know, the guy's got certain skill at something that, you know, he's found this niche for himself and uses skills. And, you know, he's clearly a smart guy. He knows what he's doing. Yeah, and he developed a great tool and probably put a lot of time and effort into it. And, you know, yeah, I don't know why just being able to you know, have it and run it in wild and make money off of that should be enough for him. But he's, you know, if he's offering the service where you know, he knows, you know, whether it's in the terms of service or not, that you can't offer the bot for people to use or offer the private battle help for people to use, you know, you're aiding and abetting what you know is against the terms of service, right? So
Still an illegal tool. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, you know, it's
100%.
wrong. You know, if you know it's wrong, you know, you're helping. If you're helping, it's like being like, oh, you know, like I'm just the getaway driver in the bank robbery job. It's like, you know, that guy gets arrested too. You know, that it's you know, it's not like he's not like, oh, well, I wasn't doing it. There's no law against, you know, driving a car. Like I know there's a law against robbing a bank, but I'm not the one robbing a bank. I'm just offering the getaway car to the people who are. Like, you know, that's not how life works.
But I will get in a little of the defense, because I know before Xbox there was a lot of these private battle helpers. So at least he went in and opened it up a little bit by being open about what he was doing, and so that, like, Bubke has been open that he had the battle helper in the past and now has turned it off. And of course, for a while there were like 5 Immortal Gods people on the top of every tournament. So I think in one way, Xbox has done something good at least making people aware of this, and then offering this service to everyone. So then, but now we need to have, I really think the game needs a mode where it's people against people, because otherwise it's no fun. Like, computers are better than us in every possible game. Like I don't believe in, like Matt is saying, that once we have the spells, that then we will be better against the computers, but by making it more complicated. But I think by making it more complicated, we will lose even more actually against a good battle helper. So it's no fun playing against someone that you know you will lose against. I'm not playing chess against Stockfish, and I'm not gonna play Splinterlands against a battle helper that will have always more than 50% chance of winning against me. So,
well, Matt made the same argument that the 3 rule sets was going to level the playing field for humans. Yeah, Hep, you called it well before that came into fruition. That
like as soon as he did it, I was like, this is as soon as like after playing it for like an hour, I was like, this is just going to help the bots. I mean, they'll put them behind for a day maybe, and then they'll be way ahead of everybody.
I think that the best games we can play against computers is roulette.
It's purely RNG.
Yep, place it on red or black. 50% chance to win against the computer. That's the best we can achieve.
Yeah. Well, I think so. So I had made the suggestion to Dave. Maybe we pursue, and this was before the town hall. This was I approached Dave a couple of weeks ago. What if we worked to put a proposal together, like chess.com? They have AI machine learning bots that patrol matches and look for non-human play, and the way that they identify this stuff is essentially along the same lines of what your hunch was telling you when Rebellion first came out is humans are curious, humans have that new shiny toy, humans are definitely going to put this some one or more of these new cards into play. So that was my suggestion to Dave, and that sort of bot does exist. I have no earthly idea if it would be cost effective for us to even pursue some sort of solution along those lines. Maybe Siler's got the technical prowess to come up with something comparable. But
I think as long as there is no one offering this service, I think it's very difficult to because of course you can put deep learning to this problem, and deep learning will absolutely crush any battle helpers and any human. That's extremely expensive, so I don't think anyone wants to do that privately. So I think if we can stop organized battle helpers, then I don't think it will be a problem.
Yeah, I mean, does this kind of just take a circle back to what the point you brought up before, Truls, is that do you have to apply to get access to the API? I don't know if Splinterlands has any sort of process or agreement you have to sign to get access to it, or if they grant it freely. I've never gone through that. I know people have. I could probably check on that. But yeah, is it something that's simple that says, hey, look, if we're gonna grant you access to our API, this is what you're allowed to use it for. If you're gonna use it to do, a bot service for Wild, you have to give us periodically, you have to give us, your code, what, and then we're just gonna run your code and compare, have someone who audits people, right? It'd be like, we're gonna run it and see what hands it would come up with in these rule sets. And if people and then run the, look at the battles of the top, if we just want to police a certain amount of people, top whatever people in modern, and say, all right, if we're going to run your battles of hands, figure out the hands you selected versus the hands this thing would have picked for you. If they match up, over X% of the time, we're going to flag that as an issue. Yeah, I mean, there should be a way for the team that if they're going to grant people access to that data, right? Because I mean, that's when that data gets called, it's like the team's got to, pay for that too. It's like that, that's a burden on the system. And so, yeah, they should absolutely be able to restrict how people use it and be able to audit what people are doing with it. And I don't know. I kind of get the opinion that they've never been interested in it. They're not interested in doing it. They would probably be happier if there were more bots.
You're saying they, meaning the team?
I mean the team, and maybe even Matt in particular. I think it's people like Azarkon and Dave, and the people, the more OGs with the significant assets who wanted to have no bots in modern are the only reason why we got here anyway, right? Like, that's Matt and the team are always hesitant against it. And I think they very early on, pushed to have big bot farms set up, right? Because big bot farms buy spell books, they buy cards, they make the transaction numbers look larger than they actually are. They make the player base look larger than they actually are. And those are all good things.
Even bigger picture, it's true decentralization, right?
Well, yeah, you can hide behind that and say that that's what it is, but at the end of the day,
it's not
revenue.
Yeah.
It's not a game anymore. If everyone is just playing bots, then it's just some advanced bad crypto earning scheme that would actually be.
It's like a weird, just like DeFi centralized finance, like yield farming platform, right? That's what the big argument everybody made for when all the bots were in modern, and that's true because like it got to the point where like no one was,
there's no strategy.
Fewer people were actually trying to play the game, and those who were playing the game were extremely frustrated by having to go up against bots, and so it was turning a lot of people off. Yeah.
Yeah, and you already have land that is good for just, and you have liquidity pools, and you should think it would be enough ways to earn money in the game without playing the game. So, like, I think on average, it's better to have money in liquidity pools than to actually own cards. So,
yeah, sure. Well, it's going to be interesting to see how this shakes out over the next couple of weeks. My understanding is this is the last town hall for March. Our next one wouldn't be slated till, I guess, maybe the first week of April, second week of April. But yeah, Hep, I think to your point, it's the community that's driven this thing as far as it's gotten. We did, to Matt's credit, he could have said, we're not going to do it. We're not going to pursue no bot modern. We're not going to pursue trying to shut down hands-off play in either league. And he supported it, and he's a player, right? Like that's why he wanted to create the game. He enjoys the game. I don't know if he has a scholar, but I run into him every once in a while. I think I have 100% win rate against one Sir Yabamat, which I think he'll be the first to tell you he's not that great at the game, but that's not going to stop me from gloating on beating the CEO. But yeah, man, I think to your point, like I said, that it's really the community that's driven this thing so far, and I think it's ultimately going to come down to a DAO vote. I think if I remember correctly, the original, I think it was a set of two proposals from Dave McCoy, one banning bots and battle helpers from Modern, one banning bots and battle helpers from tournaments and brawls. Both passed with overwhelming support. So it was more than just the Azarcons and the Dave McCoys of the world that supported this change. And I think I've got a sneaky suspicion that we're going to see the same sort of overwhelming support with this next batch of proposals that is looking to put a full stop on this stuff.
Yeah, I think I call those two guys out just because they're friends of the podcast. We talk to them a lot, and but also because I think they're kind of the more vocal aspects of the community, at least from what I see, pushing for that. I know like a lot of people support it, but I think they're pretty vocal about it. Yeah, and I don't knock Matt. I mean, I think he's doing a great job, and I think he's very honest and open about it. I don't think he's doing anything sneaky or sinister. I just think it's kind of his opinion that he doesn't want to be super aggressive about this stuff, and he does want to just like leave it open to the people more. So yeah, I mean, we have to be the ones who push it.
It would be great with a new one where in the terms of service that you are not allowed to offer battle helpers to people as well, to just update the terms of service a little bit.
Yeah, I think it's kind of a joke, right? That wasn't like, how did we not get that included into the terms of service in the I mean, I understand the logic why it was excluded. How do you enforce it, right? But obviously push has come to shove, and here we are, and now we're trying to figure out how do we enforce it. But I think ultimately it's a really important crossroads for us as the community to kind of put a stamp on this stuff and set the precedent. So I'm curious what you fellas think about what happens if you get caught using a battle helper. I've heard folks say, oh, revoke all assets, put 100-day cooldown, smite this person from the game forever. I tend to be more of, you're just banned from Modern. You can play in Wild all you want. Let's start with you, Truls. Where do you feel like what is a fair and appropriate punishment for somebody who's in clear violation of A, terms of service, and B, the community's best interest in cheating?
I think it's very simple. You make that account can't play tournaments and Modern. And then, of course, if they want to continue playing tournaments and Modern, they can move all of their cards to a new account, but then they can't move the soulbound cards. So then they're crippled quite a lot.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that's smart. I think that's kind of the way to do it, right? And before it was like, well, what do you do? People can just move cards. But now that you have that, the soulbound aspect, the soulbound cards, it does hurt a lot. And I guess, maybe when we can unlock them, people will be able to buy them, but it's still
at what cost? Yeah.
Yeah, at what cost? And that's tough, right? And that's a pretty big, probably be a pretty big penalty.
Well, to be fair, at what cost? It's probably one bag of winnings from one of those Guilfoyle tournaments would be my guess, but yeah. I mean, and yeah. Also, the quick solution would be, I'm just going to okay, well, you've shut down my account. I'm just going to transfer my assets, but we're on the blockchain. Like, it's you can't hide that stuff. I'm an absolute novice sleuth when it comes to navigating the blockchain and identifying transactions, but I can pull that up for you in 2 minutes.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Yeah, something I'd love to see would be like an irrevocable title, like the Scarlet Letter.
The Scarlet Letter.
Yeah,
like shamed.
Yeah, Truls, the battle helper.
Yeah, that would be brutal.
Yeah. So let's move on to the next subject here, guys. So April 2nd, another really big facet of this new ranked overhaul is coming into play. And again, it's something that's kind of crept up on me faster than I ever anticipated. You know, we first heard talk around this ranked overhaul coming, gosh, I want to say less than 6 weeks ago. Then we had Joey come on to the Battle Royale saying that they were doing testing of the new rank system and on local test servers in the company. And then boom, less than 2 weeks later, we had it live. And here we are, April 2nd, we're getting the reward store, we're getting no more chess, no more SPS in chess, which is absolutely massive. I think, you know, I've heard speculation that we're going to see 2-3x of SPS battle rewards for competing in modern, which is just crazy. The modern pool right now, I'm, you know, getting around 10, 12 chests a day and 150, 200 SPS, which is already crazy. Some other things, soulbound cards are going to be burnable for that new token, Glint, I think is what it's called. So a whole bunch of stuff coming in just a couple of weeks. Where's your head at, Truls, with kind of this new direction, this big pivot from where we were a month ago? Are you, you know, I think you alluded earlier that it was the most fun you've had in a season in recent memory. Does all this, the rest of this stuff kind of coming quickly and down the pipeline keep you excited? Are you looking forward to it all?
Yeah, I think I'm kind of happy that they remove SPS from chests and then adding it to rewards per game per match instead. That seems like a smart move, because then you kind of give more to modern, because the pool was shared equally between wild and modern, but then the chests were not. So all of these chest rewards went to wild. So that was a little sad. So I'm happy about that part. It's difficult to say on the others because I don't know exactly how it will be like. But I'm happy because I've maxed out all of the regular soulbound cards. So I'm happy to kind of start using that on gladiator cards instead, and burning some of them probably for glint. And so it seems like a good move. I have to see exactly how it will be, but
well, the one thing that really got me excited about it was, again, I think it was Louis Kisa, maybe Osco, who asked on the town hall if we would have I guess it's still going to be chests that we are purchasing, right? If there's going to be a particular chest that guarantees a legendary card, and it's something that, you know, Matt's response, and don't quote me, I'm gonna butcher the response, but it was something to the effect of, it's something that we hadn't considered, but I think we can make it happen by April 2nd. We just got to do the calculations on the cost. So we're getting closer to that place where you can't quite, you know, dictate what card I'm getting, but you can get pretty close. You know, buying a champ chest with a legendary card guaranteed is pretty cool. Yeah, I like the prospect of the reward shop. I don't know if I'm going to be anywhere close to getting one of those titles that Matt called out as being available in the first reward shop, you know, kind of batch on the shelves. But that's, yeah, there's some cool stuff I think that opens up with the reward shop, like, you know, skins and, you know, maybe exclusive sounds and you know, all sorts of stuff that, you know, I'm having flashbacks to all the stuff that Weirdbeard was talking about with the battle pass. You know, I think the reward shop is, you know, I think going to scratch the itch for a lot of folks in terms of what we were after with Weirdbeard's battle pass.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. I think for me, you know, there's kind of a disconnect between, you know, where my account got in Wild and and what I was doing in modern before, I could always keep them both in gold. I was using last season, I was using XBot. I've since, kind of with everything that was going on, I've gotten rid of that token, looking to pick up an Archmage token probably. But yeah, that actually hit with my deck. I hit Champion 3 in Wild. And so I think next season I'll be, but I'm like in modern, I was like, I actually just like yesterday got out of gold and got up into diamond. So into diamond 3. And so yeah, it'll be interesting next season. I'll be struggling to earn champion chests playing mostly in gold, which should be a nightmare. So I'm really looking forward to, like, that was sort of like a weird disconnect where you couldn't really control what kind of chest you wanted to get, and really it was gonna be strange. So I'm really happy with that we're shifting to this. I think they maybe should have been able to do it sooner or do it after one season. Or I guess they just wanted to get it out right away and maybe see kind of what the issues are. But I think this is an issue that should have been easily foreseeable, that the two should have kind of gone hand in hand, where if you're going to get rid of the leagues, you should have gotten rid of the different types of chests and just gone to this point system where you can then just buy whatever chest you want. So I think that'll alleviate a lot of the problems, because then wherever you're earning points, you're just earning points and you kind of apply them to whatever you want. So I would have liked to have seen them being able to kind of put this together in one, but I guess I know that's kind of how the game operates. They kind of just, once they get something done, or at least with the way that the team size is now, they get something done, they push it out, they'll go on to the next thing, get it done and push it out, instead of, doing two things at once, or doing one thing then the other and then pushing them both out at the same time. So yeah.
Well, you got to find relief in those big juicy SPS rewards you were getting before. Might be making an appearance again before too long too.
Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, I mean, earning like 10, 11 SPS per win in gold was sort of a sweet spot. So we'll see. We'll see if it gets back there.
Hep, you were making more in gold than I was in champ, dude, which feels
I'm sure once we factored in per win, but yeah, I'm sure once we factored in the value of the SPS you're getting on the chests, I'm sure you were doing better. And I still don't have anywhere close to maxed out those soulbound cards. Actually, I'm close on some. I have some of the commons maxed out, but not even like close on the legendaries and epics and rares and summoner stuff too. So
well, you'll have a couple of months to kind of dictate what you're, at least be closer to dictating what cards you're pulling. Let's talk about that next conflict card, man. Venka the Vile. Man, my first reaction was, oh man, I'm more excited for her than I was for Kai, and Kai is still going to be a great meta changing card, I think. But Venka the Vile, another new ability, and just obviously a direct counter to somebody like Grimbar Dune. Truls, I'm curious, when you did Yuki shoot you a Discord message and say, yeah, this is the one?
No. I don't have so much contact after we're not in the same guild anymore. Yeah, no, it seems like just a counter, as you said. Maybe they think Smith is being played too much, and yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure what. I saw that a new ability, and that I'm not sure if it means that you can attack from any position or.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my understanding is melee from anywhere, and I'm assuming it can still be and should still be taunted, but otherwise it attacks the first position from anywhere.
Yeah, so it's kind of a the same as opportunity and sneak, just that it attacks the first position instead, or something like that.
Yeah.
No, it seems extremely powerful. I'm not sure if they will. I think after some play testing, they might change it a little bit.
Yeah, the trample feels like a little bit of overkill. It's just absolute bull in a china shop, man. That card can just go ham. I mean, it's also going to completely change. You know, I would argue I see Grim Bardoon way too much. I would argue that I play Grim Bardoon way too much.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm about to say from your own hands, you mean? Or
Oh, well, both, man. I mean, if you don't play it, you're gonna lose. Grim Bardoon is just. I don't know if anybody anticipated Grim Bardoon absolutely redefining the meta the way that he has. You know, I knew that it was going to be a great card, and I still will say that it's more valuable than Almo was, um, because of the void, because of the repair, because of the immunity. Just the kit works so well with so many different teams. But yeah, I feel like Venka is whether or not you're facing off against Grim Bardoon, I feel like that card is just going to be so much fun. And it wouldn't surprise me if Trample disappears, especially with somebody like Possibilis that grants the trample anyways. So Truls, what we've heard Matt talk about the legendary summoners being, you know, he wants to move the needle a little bit closer to what we saw with Untamed. If you could craft a summoner, uh what would it look like? What elements would it summon? Yeah, I want to hear from the mind of Truls. What does a summoner look like?
I think they will probably do a dual color summoner. It kind of hinted at that. So, but abilities, oh God, I don't know if I'm so good at that. At least not without thinking for half an hour first. But yeah, but maybe some new ability or something that makes the game a little more complicated would, of course, be something I would go for.
Yeah, so we're getting that summoner. I would guess that we're going to start getting stats here in about 3 weeks, 4 weeks. I love the, you know, I've heaped tons of praise on the conflict system as a whole in the past, and I think just having these fixed timelines of, you know, we know when airdrops are coming, we know how long we have to prepare for them, and the cards are ready. Yeah, it's been a really good shift, and I wonder if we're going to start to see the end of, you know, because I think the Chaos Legion legendary summoners are probably most often what I reach for still. You know, I think there's, you know, obviously specific cases where Avina is fantastic and Thaddeus Brood is fantastic and Kelly is the great play, but the legendary summoners are the real prize from the set. Are you guys both anticipating and expecting that we see as much of a shift back towards something as powerful as what we saw in Untamed?
I don't think they will make anything as powerful as Kitty, but on the other hand, the Red Panda is almost as powerful as Kitty, especially with Smith. I think that's the summoner I play more than any other summoner right now.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I mean, you've kind of heard that maybe they do want to return to that to have more powerful, but I don't know. I think maybe maybe it's the gameplay hasn't caught up, right? Because like Truls was saying earlier, that he thinks there's a lot of power in the dual elements, um, and maybe the team just thinks the dual elements and the tactics are going to be something that is really powerful. Maybe we'll see people come up with combinations that are. I think it's just tough. I think it's just not as simple. It's not as simple as straightforward. Maybe that's a good thing, but maybe that's a bad thing. You know, there's only a certain amount of complexity that you can really handle within a couple minutes, unless, you know, people are really gonna sit there and figure out ahead of time, like how are you know, how these will work. But it's just a lot, right? It's a lot to, you know, to think about. You know, now you're thinking about two different colors instead of one, and then you're thinking about which tactic you're going to add to where and how. And you know, we've seen some of the tactic summoners and rebellions that don't get used. Trolls, I don't know if you use what tactic? Do you use any tactic summoners or besides Avena? And I mean, that's the only one I use, the only one I have like leveled up to gold level. I don't know. Are you guys seeing any of the other ones used more often?
I use all of them.
Even the fire one?
Sometimes, but that's mostly in rule sets where it's only magic or something. That's the one I use the least for sure.
Yeah.
Started using the blue one much more lately. Used the black one in some rule sets where, for example, Thorns had a win with that yesterday, where it was only melee and then Thorns. So then I used that one to get 2 of my creatures to be safe.
Yeah.
I think people are just really slow at, and the funny part is that the battle helpers are also even more slow than humans, because the humans need to come up with the tactics first.
First, right? Yeah.
Play it a lot of times, and then the battle helpers will perfect it. So
yeah.
So that's the way I know that Jacek, for example, he's not using a battle helpers, because he's way too creative for a battle helper.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shout out to Rekla, man. I love that.
Yeah. I did use that the other day too, and so I was like, in a Thorns match and in a Magic Reflect match. So
the Magic, that's another card I'm surprised I very seldom see opponents field is Rekla. I feel like Reflection Shield is such a great ability. And Magic Reflect is probably my favorite place to play with Rekla. Is, Death already has a couple of Reflection Shield magic guys, and then you toss on like a Dr. Blight with Reflection Shield. It's just, game over. It's so much fun. I'm curious, so cards like Rekla and Avena, when I select them, 99% of the time I already know the tactic that I'm building this team for. So I'm curious how you kind of employ the tactics, Truls. Do you go in with a team that's constructed where it could benefit? Obviously, I think +2 speed to 2 of your monsters can benefit greatly. But do you construct teams specifically to have that ability to audible on the fly, or do you go into your team construction more with, I'm going in with the heal plan, and that's what I'm sticking to?
Mostly I have one plan, but I have changed my mind sometimes when I saw that the opponent had something that could be exploited. I remember I had one match that against Bulldog that he even put on YouTube, where I was using the green one, and then I just saw that he had the 6 mana Thorns monster in the back, and I just couldn't deal with that, so I just gave it poison, and then I won, and I would never have won that match without that. So it's kind of cool that you can shift, but I always build it with like one idea, but with the option to switch if I see that that will give me a higher win rate in a way.
Yeah, I feel like cards like was it Fabino? Was that the green guy?
Yeah.
Having the option of, because the options are either poison or a boost to melee, right? So I feel like having that sort of selection lends itself to a much more on the fly decision. I use Prophet Rosa probably the most with the expectation to make that tactic call on the fly. Shield on the Wave Brood is probably what I tend to use the most, but in ranged only matchups, the neutral double strike sniper, tossing 2 extra range damage on that card just makes it an absolute beast. Tossing 8 damage per turn, and being able to make that decision on the fly with somebody like Prophet Rosa is a lot of fun, man. So it'll be interesting to see if it's kind of one fixed ability with the new legendary summoners, and then you have the choice of 2 or 3 tactics. Yeah, I'm just wondering, are we going to see 8 mana summoners, Truls? Is that where your head's thinking?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I have no inside knowledge there whatsoever, so I think I'm the bad person to ask. But I was guessing the 5 mana, but yeah, it would be cool with some more expensive ones, since the general cost of everything, or there's more 99 matches there. No, not more 99, but there's more like 60 mana matches and stuff like that now. So
Cool. Well, I'm curious, Truls, without having any knowledge of what you do in your professional life, are you a big crypto guy? Do you have a particular opinion about pursuing this centralized exchange listing on either Binance or Coinbase?
I'm not a big crypto guy. I have a clothing brand actually. So I mean e-commerce. So I was always looking into crypto for more for the business than for my person. But I don't know. It seems really expensive. And it seems really difficult. But of course, no, I don't know. It's I guess the value of the SPS would go up a lot if it becomes easier to buy it and get more publicity. But yeah,
That's all hypothetical still, right? We don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a chicken and an egg thing too. I mean, if you look at some of those centralized exchanges, I mean, a lot of them are, with stuff like Coinbase is just hard to get into. I don't even know if they'd list. It'd be tough for them to even list token like SBS. I mean, we're on the crypto.com exchange. A lot of that stuff in Binance, a lot of those, there's so many altcoins on there. It's like, how do you differentiate yourself? Just being on there isn't like a magic bullet that people are going to find it. Yeah. If people hear about the game and become interested in it, then yes, it's easier for them to get it. And when it's easier for someone to get something, it makes it more likely that they will buy it if they look to see how they have to buy it. And I mean, even then, it's just like, well, you just have to get it on Pancake Swap, right? It's like if you're savvy enough to kind of know about Splinterlands and be interested in it, you should be able to figure out how to use something like Pancake Swap or another DEX to get it. It's not like you have to get into stuff into Hive and get it on Hive Engine and swap it there. And a lot of those bigger exchanges too, like they're not gonna want to list something unless it has heavier trading volume. And so it's kind of like you say, oh, we get on an exchange, we can get heavier trading, sexual exchange, we get on heavier trading volume and get more liquidity, and then the cost will go up, price will go up. But it's kind of like, well, you kind of got to get that first to be able to get on there. So it to me, it's kind of, I just think it's depending on the cost of it. I mean, I don't think it's worth the money right now. I mean, you're gonna have to see an uptick in the player base, an uptick in the price, for even being on a centralized exchange to really even do anything. I remember when we got listed on crypto.com, everybody thought it was going to be great, and there was a little pump, and then just went back down like a day or two later, and it's not like it's done, and it's still on there. I checked because I remember I looked this morning, and it's still available on there. I think they don't have a ton of liquidity on it. I think you can only buy, I think there's a limit on how much each person can buy a day, or even how much can be bought a day. But I doubt they hit that volume. So yeah, the money can be probably better spent elsewhere at the time. That's kind of my take on it.
I wish they would spend more on esport to like. I really want a tournament where they have 2 cameras, as they do in chess. One camera on your screen and one camera on you. And then everyone can look at both of them. And you have commentators that would be a proper fair tournament that I think a lot of people would be interested in watching as well. And with the top players and everything, that would be super fun.
Do you feel like the game is approachable, accessible for the esports community? I've not really dabbled in esports a whole lot. You know, I see the occasional, clips on YouTube and that sort of stuff. But yeah, I just wonder about, general accessibility from an esports fan. Is Splinterlands, does that fit the bill for an exciting sport, esport?
I think it's a little bit like Magic the Gathering manages to do that, and Magic the Gathering is a million times more complicated than Splinterlands, especially if you want to watch it. I think it's a little bit of just giving people a dream. Like my background was that I played Magic the Gathering, and I was on the Pro Tour of Magic the Gathering, and like I know so many people were like playing Magic the Gathering to have the dream of going on the Pro Tour, and it was so much fun as well. So to have a little bit of that at least would be maybe in a digital online version. And as chess also have with like Title Tuesdays and stuff like that, could be really fun, at least for the players, and hopefully over time you pick up an audience as well if you have some good commentators. And I think that's the best marketing they can do.
Speaking of marketing, that was the first mention from Matt about potentially expanding the team that we've heard. He called out specifically the Web3 marketing position as being one that he wants to prioritize in pursuing throughout the rest of the year. So yeah, the esports stuff could go hand in hand with that. That would be exciting, and hopefully by that point in time we've got some, something other than that brick wall we've all been staring at for years in the background of battles. I think that just the general UX UI for battles, it wouldn't take a whole lot to make it much more aesthetically pleasing. I feel like the cards in the space are kind of underutilized. I think there's some opportunity to make it a much more exciting game for somebody who has no context of the game Splinterlands, and therefore drawing some new eyes. Before we move on from the Central Exchange stuff, I quickly want to call out Matt. I was expecting him to kind of phone in his opinion and not really offer one. Did you guys happen to catch Matt's response and say the tokenomics are a little messy, and we'd be better suited to kind of pursue a listing, despite him believing it actually wouldn't move the needle? His preference would be waiting until we've got I think it was the validator, the SPS chain, up and running to kind of support the token and that sort of stuff. Did that catch either of you guys by surprise? Were you kind of expecting a non-decision?
For me, it didn't surprise me. The reasoning surprised me, and maybe I just don't understand how having the validators running would make a difference. I don't get why that makes a difference. For my opinion, I think the issue is that it's still just those central exchanges want bigger trading volume, and like we don't come close to that right now. And there's just not enough interest in it from outside the community to kind of create that need for the central exchanges to want to list it, no matter how hard we try to convince them to get them to list it. And
well,
like I said,
Hive is on Binance, right? Hive can't do a whole lot of volume.
I don't know. I know it's not on the Binance US version, so I'm not sure if it's on the international version, because they have different tokens. Different tokens are listed in the US and in other places. And so I don't even recall if Hive is even available on any US exchange. I need to double check that. There might be one that I'm just not on. But yeah, I mean that could have been and I think it's been on there. I mean, the Binance International used to list a ton of stuff, and they that could have been on there when the Hive was bigger, I mean,
I think that's exactly what happened. Was Hive inherited the listing from Steam,
Steam, and they did have more volume, but back in the day than they probably do now. So yeah, and I think people are more cautious about what gets lit. Like he said, I think he said their exchanges are more cautious about. It's harder to get a token listed now than it used to be. So yeah, I think there are a lot of sort of those headwinds to getting the token listed, no matter what effort the community or the team puts into it. And I think he's just more aware of that than really the issue being with the validators. I don't know, but I mean, like I said, I think Matt's usually pretty open and transparent, and he did mention some of those other reasons. So, but I just don't know what the validators has to do with it.
Any thoughts on that, Truls? Nah.
No, not so much. I'm more for the game than the crypto.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat. I'm of course I'm rooting for the success of the game, and I would love to cash out a big chunk of SPS at some point and buy a house or whatever. But yeah, I'll leave that to the bigger thinkers and make the decisions. So Truls, you mentioned that you've got a clothing brand. Are you cool to dive into that a little bit? I'd love to hear.
Yeah, of course.
What do you do? And I think I may have heard you mention that on stream. Maybe we caught a glimpse of some of your fashionista stuff behind you on Splinterlands TV once upon a time. And
yeah, there was some people asking. Now I have a clothing brand called Dracula Clothing. So it's a lot of like gothic, metal, steampunk, all alternative kind of clothing. So I love like designing clothing, and so I have a crazy building in Czech Republic that is like a 9,000 square meter old hops storage. So
hop storage, like beer hops.
Yep.
Oh, nice.
So did you say it's called Dracula Clothing?
Yep.
Okay. Is that the I know I had a buddy from Czech Republic once upon a time, and as soon as he found out I was an American, not that I did myself any favors with this accent, but one of the first things he mentioned to me was we stole the name Budweiser.
Yeah.
So does there happen to be any sort of connection between your hops ex hops storage unit and the original Budweiser?
Probably. Like this region is like one of the biggest regions in the world when it comes to hops production, and it's actually a UNESCO, or this even my building is actually a UNESCO heritage building right now. So because of it used to be like, so the whole area is like the shot it's a hops production. So then they make a lot of hops for like Japanese beer and Czech beer and stuff like that. So the Pilsen and
I heard that the Czech consumes more beer than any other place in the world. Is that something that you can confirm for us here?
Oh yeah. And they don't even consider beer to be alcohol. So I had a friend that did a study for EU about drinking habits in different countries, and she asked people if they drink here, and everyone said no, almost like, or 60% said no, and I was like, no, I don't believe that. And then I asked her to ask them if they drink beer, and everyone was like, yeah, of course. That's not alcohol.
That's awesome.
That's great.
So how'd you get into clothing design, man? What did you have a past in design in general, and just kind of led you down that path, or did you used to frequent the I'm sure back in the day, I make an assumption of our collective ages here, and I think we're probably all pretty close to one another. Rammstein, was that a big band when you were kind of coming of age?
Yeah, Rammstein is cool, and like for me, it's always been. I'm from Norway, so metal has always been close to my heart, and we had some amazing parties. So it was just for fun in the beginning, and I just created things that I wanted to make, and then it grew very quickly. So suddenly it was my job.
Awesome.
It's cool. So yeah, so how do you get started with sort of setting up your own? Did you go out right away on your own, or did you work for other clothing companies first and then try to branch out on your own designs?
Now I was traveling in India a lot before, so I had some tailors there and that were really, really good. And then, yeah, now I have some different tailors in like Pakistan. And so it's just a lot of designing and trying it out and using social media and having photo shoots and actually have a photo shoot in my office right now. So maybe you see it in the background.
Yeah. So I'm assuming when you see new Splinterlands cards, the first thing that you look at and critique is the what is this person wearing and what could they do better?
I was writing to Nate if we could do like a collaboration, if one of them could wear some clothing of mine, but he never responded to that. I was a little sad.
Oh man, that seems like such a cool opportunity and something that would be I would suggest reaching out to another friend of the podcast, Joey, Breaking Benjamin, who does all the lore stuff. Maybe you could get Dracula clothing written into lore, and then the art team has their hands tied. It's already in the lore. It's got to be in the artwork.
Yeah, I was thinking if I should use it as part of my advertisement budget to kind of get one of those special summoner and call it like Dracula and is wearing Dracula clothing or something. But because vampires would fit into this quite well, I think.
It's a good way to get figure out how to get your write your spine packs off as a business investment.
Yeah, I don't know if my accountant would accept it, but
well, I asked you earlier if you had a summoner in mind. Sounds like you got your work cut out for you, Truls. You better start putting pen to paper on that guy, man.
Yeah, it should be a vampire for sure.
There you go. Yeah, you got to get like maybe when the new skins come out, you can get like a whole line of clothing for like Liar of the Dark or something like that. That'd be good.
Yeah.
You'd probably fit in well with that theme. Awesome,
man. Well, Truls, we've had you for about 2 hours, man. Absolute pleasure to pick your brain, dude. I like I said at the beginning of the episode, I thoroughly enjoyed running into you, and you more than most others are a feather I'm very happy to put in my cap when I can pull a win off you. And I definitely I've made a habit out of shooting a Discord message to folks when we face off in battle, and when I get a compliment from you that I put a good team together, or you liked that team, or you like that position, or whatever. It's just a cool element that I think is unique to modern, of course. So and I told I let Virus know that we were sitting down for an episode with you, and he was immediately stoked. So you've got fans all over the world, bro, and Splinterlands TV, I think, is missing from a lot of folks' schedules these days, and always really enjoyed your shows, man.
Yeah, I miss doing those streams. It was really fun.
Have you considered doing
Battle Royale?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have been considering if I should do it just on my own, but I'm a little afraid that I will just sit there speaking to myself and.
Yeah, well, you'll never know until you try, man. And like Hep said, we do a in non-town hall weeks, we do a little battle royale. So it's lately it's been Hep, myself, Virus, Rogue Patton, Mango Mayhem's jumped on a couple times, Tails, Sinister, Stever, Bebe. But yeah, we just do a little round robin, talk strategies. Yeah, we've got a good little group, and you're more than welcome to join. I don't know how time zones would match up, but I'd be happy to add you to the email list. And
yeah, if the time zone allows it. Like, I will probably not play if it's 4 a.m., but I would love to play otherwise.
Awesome. Well, at least you would know that you're not talking to yourself, man. We would be listening.
That's always more fun.
Awesome, Truls. But yeah, man, absolute pleasure, man. Appreciate you taking the time to hop on with us, and look forward to the next time we face off in good old Praetoria, dude.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. It's been so much fun talking Splinterlands to someone that cares. My girlfriend, I try to do it with my girlfriend and she doesn't really care.
Maybe she'll care when we get Dracula clothing featured on some of the character art, man.
Maybe.
All right, everybody. Well, appreciate you guys stopping by. Hopefully you enjoyed the show. We had a lot of fun, and yeah, we will see you next week. Thank you for tuning in. You have been listening to
The People's Guild.